Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Entertainment Podcast with your host, who is me, Ben Stagger. You may be watching this or you may be listening to this. If you are in the Neuralink trials, you may be experiencing this in a way that I will only be able to understand in perhaps the next 5 to 10 years, because when they say who wants to sign up, I will be first in line. And I know that we will be able to use Neuralink potentially to get rid of what is affecting me, celiac disease. But that brings up another question as to whether or not, if there ever becomes a cure for celiac disease, if I will accept or not. An interesting thing did happen 3 to 4 years ago. I was in talks with McMaster University in Hamilton to be a part of a trial to go to Hamilton, I believe 3 to 4 times a week, to do something related to celiac. And now that I say this out loud, I'm not this is hypothetical, right? I'm not sure if I was supposed to, but it's very vague. But I don't think I can say anything more on that matter. So sorry to tease you with that, but maybe once 15 years goes by and we've been doing this podcast for 15 years, I will be able to speak more on that. And we're just going to see what happens with as much as I said right there, because all press is good press. So if I get litigated for that, you bet your ass I'm going to hire the best celiac lawyer in Canada, which may have to be me. I may have to go back to school and become the first celiac lawyer in Canada. I do think that being a lawyer is under the entertainment umbrella, because essentially you are putting on a show for weeks and people can't stop watching, and it's so much fun. It's the original reality show. And of course, we don't get to see it on TV in Canada because they do not televise courtroom cases, but it's cool because it ends up being just a tale, and we got to bring back tales because everyone videotapes everything these days, so we got to bring back the tales, and we are keeping the tales in the courtrooms. They are allowed to paint you, and I honestly would love to see what an artist would choose to make me. I wonder if you can pick your artist. If I could hire my own painter to be the one who paints me in the courtroom, if I ever, because of what I said at the beginning. Because I think, let me guess. Oh, they're using AI. They're using AI paintings now, I'm sure. Oh, then I wouldn't have to hire anyone. I could literally just hire myself to prompt in on Midjourney or something like, oh, Ben Steger defending himself in a Hamilton courtroom because he wanted a celiac lawyer, but there are no other celiac lawyers in Canada. So he had no choice but to go back to school and finish his degree at University of Waterloo, Ontario in social development studies, and then go to law school at Conestoga College in Kitchener, Ontario. And now the court case is able to go on. Well, let's hope that nothing happens from this. This was all speculative. Who knows? I was just having a lot of fun, and I think we're going to be okay. But also, if you're listening to this podcast and you know any celiac lawyers in Canada, I'm just curious. We need some celiac case law. We need some celiac precedents in the Canadian courtroom. I'm sure I am 100. I would love to know if you've ever been on a jury before and you're celiac. What are the food selection like for celiacs? And yes, I consider being on a jury a form of Canadian entertainment because you are essentially they took the idea of jury and used that on Survivor, and those are the most badass. Now we get that E on Spotify. Yes. Those are the most badass people in the whole game, the people who sit on the jury and judge you. So you are an entertainer. I'm thinking about you all the time. And but how are the food options being a jury member in the Canadian court system, which is an extension of the Canadian entertainment system, because the world is a stage and Canada is one of the stages. Yes. Anyways, glad we got that out of the way there. Around 7 minutes there. Please, thank you for sticking along. If you stuck it through that, you could stick it through the rest. I know you can. If you're watching this visually, you may have noticed that something's a little bit different here. For the past 3 episodes, some have said 3 of the greatest podcast episodes since podcast began. When Steve Jobs rolled them out, people call them the big 3, episode 2, 3, and 4. I've heard that. And some of the Canadian press, Hello Canada, has called Reader's Digest, Globe and Mail, Maclean's, you name it. Yeah. E-Talk. And sorry, can we talk about how E-Talk essentially said to ET Canada, get the F out of town. I totally forgot about E-Talk. So E-Talk is my main competitor on this show, but I forgot about them. So what does that say about you, E-Talk? But at the same time, that is just a healthy ribbing between two. We're just allies or competitors, friendly competitors. Just sort of like how sometimes McDonald's takes jabs at Burger King. E-Talk, the ball's in your court. I made a little sort of thing. Say anything about me, just don't mention the glasses, how short I am, celiac disease, follower count, how I shake my legs when I talk. Don't mention any of that, but anything else is fair game. Anyways, if you're watching this visually, you watch the big 3. If you're listening to this, you listen to the big 3, episode 2, 3, and 4. You probably noticed that I was wearing some pretty hefty duty clip-ons or flip-ups, and they provided a lot of dramatic moments. The light was good on them, right? It made me very just, into the in with my words. But what if I told you I think I lost, misplaced, or had them stolen from me on a trip to Owen Sound, Ontario, and also Bluevale, Ontario, and also Port Elgin this weekend. What if I told you that? What would you say? Would you go absolutely batshit and quit your job tomorrow and look for them? I'm not suggesting anyone does that, but I am tempted to really go hard because I was just getting over losing the classic Boston Bruins hat that I've been wearing since January. And then this is another harsh blow to me. I lose the flip-ups, some refer to as clip-ons. And I am back podcasting, and I have to focus on I focus on my words, but now I'm also focusing on this bright light that may damage my retina severely. So I have just been losing a lot of stuff in 2024, and I don't know what that says about me. I think it is a sign from God, who some call the original Canadian entertainer, that don't be so materialistic. Your possessions mean nothing. It is all about who you are inside. It's not, you will always be a Bruins Trekkie. It doesn't matter about the hat. It doesn't matter that you recycled the paper Star Trek logo you made. You will always be a podcaster. It's not about the clip-ons. You will just sacrifice your vision. But soon you will learn that your eyes are not what gives you sight. It is your brain who gives you sight. And your eyes are... Do we not remember the movie Mulan, where a lady crosses the road with the Mushu the dragon in a gate, and I'm pretty sure she can't see, but she crosses it just fine. So that is essentially where I'm at right now, and I just really needed to be comfortable with it and move forward. And I hope you'll help me move forward. But if you see these clip-ons in Owen Sound, in Port Elgin, in Bluevale, Ontario, where Walt Disney's dad was raised, please let me know. They are most likely mine. I did get a bit of a softer light. I know a lot of visual stuff. I got a softer light, and it is really just, it is a test. It is a true test against my eyes, but it is making them stronger. And I think it may cure the whole glasses thing I've been fighting for about 3-4 years now. So even though the glasses have become a very distinct part of my personality, I wear a pair of glasses for those who listen to audio. Maybe one day I could just pop the lenses out and they'll just be like a hat or a bow tie, you know? They won't serve a purpose. My eyes will finally get to where we need to be. But until that day comes, we will still wear them. And I hope I don't lose them, but if I do lose them, I know, just like all the other things I've lost this year, it is a sign from God telling me, you are so much more than a Boston Bruins hat and a pair of sunglasses that you clip onto your glasses you got 2 to 3 years ago. You are so much more than that. And I would say thank you. Thank you, God, for being real and telling me the absolute truth. Now, we are in the meat right now of this mid-July podcast or second week of July podcast. And I want to talk about something that has been disturbing me lately. It's been disturbing me in an incredible way. But it's very related to Canadian entertainment, as we always, what this podcast is centered upon. I just found out about a theory that is on YouTube. And maybe in a couple books, I found out about this theory. It's on YouTube, and it is essentially saying, there's a theory out there that essentially is saying that our experience here on Earth is nothing but a very complex video game that someone is playing somewhere out there beyond the world or potentially within this world. And it is very so there's a theory out there that is essentially why is no one, and I'm starting to believe it potentially, essentially, and why is no one talking about this? Like, why isn't my mom or my dad or anyone in Canada talking about the fact that we are essentially in a video game and we are all video game characters and we have absolutely no control over any of our actions? And my character literally hosts a Canadian entertainment podcast and is equipped with celiac disease and is also a Bruins Trekkie, but lost his Boston Bruins hat recently. Why is no one talking about this? Why is no one talking about that? We are essentially all video game characters. And right now I'm in the Ontario, Canada level. And I cannot tell you what level I am because guess what? In this video game, in the direction my character is doing in the open world, if I tell you what level I am, that will actually make me unable to get certain jobs because there's a serious problem with ageism in the class that I am, the class of character that I am. So that is very heartbreaking because I could be older or younger than you imagine. That's all I gotta say. But that is very heartbreaking. So I literally found out recently that I'm literally a video game character. And I tried telling my boss at work, hey, I'm a video game character. Can I do my main quest? And my boss says, no, you have to do your side quest right now. You literally have to go caulk a bathtub. And I say, okay. Because you know what though? In video games, sometimes the side quests are the most fun parts. So maybe my boss has a point though. Yeah. So we're all video game characters. My mom, my dad, no one decided to tell me. My wife, my brother, my other brother, some of my best friends, literally no one decided to tell me that we are all video game characters. And so essentially this is a big video game. And you know what? I also read that this could be a video game within a video game. Sort of like how in Donkey Kong 64, yes, I've retro game before, you are allowed to play a game. Your character, if you're playing as Diddy Kong, you can go up to a video game system in King Cruel's ship, and you can play the game Jetpack, which is a very old ass game. So we could be that essentially. And why didn't any of these video game developers, like the people who made Grand Theft Auto, decide, why didn't any of them, they were probably making these things and they probably literally, they probably were like, oh yeah, so this is, they probably, one day they're developing, they're probably like, oh yeah, so this is probably what is going on with us, but why didn't they tell us that? I just have to go on YouTube and find that out. That's actually horrible. But you know what? One thing I am kind of cool about, because our whole lives is a video game. Some people call it a simulation. Some people call this life a simulation. I decide to call it a video game. And it does upset me sometimes that we are video game characters and someone is literally just playing me. Someone is literally press A to say another thing in the Canadian Entertainment Podcast. Press B to hold your mic with the left hand. Press C to hold your mic with the right hand. Press D to show your foot. Like, press E to acknowledge that wouldn't be a good thing for the audio listeners. But this is so disturbing. I just found out that we live in a video game. Like, the whole thing, it's literally all a video game. Our life is essentially a video game. I found it out through a YouTube video. And it's real, I think. And, but you know what so it disturbs me greatly because I essentially have no free will. However, I am kind of like, okay, this is cool that in this video game, that this big developer is playing Beyond This World, that they decided to include Kitchener-Waterloo. They decided to include Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest. They decided to include the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. That's like liquor stores in Ontario, and Ontario is like essentially like it's like a state, and in it is all these cities, including Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph, Cambridge, which are kind of like the New York, Los Angeles, Houston of Canada. So they decided to include Guelph, Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge, which is essentially the New York, Los Angeles, Houston, in this video game. And I find that incredible. I'm like, yes, go, go, go. And they included things like Canadian McDonald's, which I find absolutely fascinating and heroic. They include celiac disease in this video game, which just, I guess this is, my character has to find the cure for celiac disease, essentially, and we're working on it. Now, what's so crazy is there's a developer who developed this video game, and there's probably someone playing this video game, and I just am a character, essentially. So whatever, but it's kind of weird. But I also watched some YouTube video yesterday and YouTube Canada, what does YouTube provide? Entertainment. I was watching YouTube Canada Entertainment. So yes, we're allowed to talk about this on the Canadian Entertainment Podcast. But I was reading something that was like, oh, but if scientists find out that we're actually in a simulation, they might shut the whole thing down. So, well, I just found out about the whole thing. Is this going to be okay? Are we going to be okay? I'm trying not to whistleblow, but I'd be whistleblowing on a lot of things on this episode. Whatever. I am essentially a whistleblower. You know what? Remember that guy, Edward Snowden? Some people say I have the same glasses as him. So maybe we're part of the same class when you create a character in this game. So maybe the glasses give you the power of whistleblowing. And I just did it. And it feels interesting. But now there could be a target on my back. And well, there has been before, so I guess I'm just going to have to rock with it. But it is absolutely disturbing. It's okay, though. I hope we will get through this together. And this is kind of an interesting thing that my character does. My character, this is part of a new level, right? The Canadian Entertainment Podcast. So the world's a video game. That's so crazy. Yeah. And I get achievements every time I say something that could be a clip. So that's interesting. But yeah, that's disturbing me in an incredible way. But I just have to block it out, because how crazy would it be if you're playing Mario or whatever, and then Mario's like, dude, so I'm in a video game? Really? Okay, well, this is disturbing. I actually am so disturbed by this. Yoshi, did you hear this? We're in a video game, son. And then Yoshi's like, really? Are you kidding me, Mario? And then Mario's like, yeah, can you hear me? And why are they doing this to us? And then Yoshi's like, well, maybe it's because we are fascinating to them. And then Mario's like, wow, really? No, I'm just a plumber. And then Yoshi's like, yeah? Well, you know how sometimes they sell really expensive ripped jeans at super expensive stores like H&M and Aeropostale? Well, sometimes when someone has a lot of money or power, they are fascinated by what we do too. And then Mario's like, yeah, you're actually kind of right about that. But then they look over and they're like, well, if you want to play as us so much, then why don't you want to hang out with us? Seriously, just let me hang out with you. And I would hang out with Mario if I could. And maybe that's what whoever's playing our video game is also thinking. Maybe they just haven't found a way to let us hang out with them. But let's work on that, okay? Okay. That's where we're at right now. I just whistle blew the whole freaking thing. And that's actually an exclusive on the Canadian Entertainment Podcast. I just whistleblowed this whole video game operation. And wow, that was really crazy. But we're going to rock with that. So there was a few things I didn't talk about on the podcast last time that I wanted to talk about. We've acknowledged that this potentially is a video game, but I don't know who's following me, like where you found this thing, but I did post a picture on my Instagram, I guess a week or so ago, that essentially broke the internet as we know it. I posted a picture of me and the mayor of Waterloo, Dorothy McCabe. And it essentially broke the internet. I heard that Meta was having a very hard time dealing with the traction that photo got, and they almost asked me to take it down, but then they had another coal power server in Silicon Valley that they just had to throw some more coal on in a server, and the photo was allowed to stay up. But that was absolutely shocking. The reception that photo got, it got so many likes, it really overwhelmed me in a major way. But I just want to say thank you, Mayor McCabe, for taking that photo with me. And maybe that's the first of many. Maybe we do a photo shoot one day. You literally never know what the future holds. So thank you so much for taking a chance on me, taking a photo with me, flash on, and I think we look stellar. So thank you, Mayor McCabe. It was fantastic to meet you formally in person, and maybe one day you're on the pod, because Canadian politics, is politics not entertainment sometimes? You got to ask yourself that. We all do, right? Just say what I got to say. Now, there's obviously other things going on in the world that, for example, I was just shocked to learn that there was an election in France, and France allegedly has a connection with Canada. There was something going on with France at one point here. I think something about Quebec. There's something going on. And I am so what is with these countries that have both a president and a prime minister? It's like, are you okay? Why do you have a president and a prime minister? No, seriously. Why do you tell me one good reason why you have a president and a prime minister, and we can move on? Because to me, that is essentially like when you have a president and a prime minister running your country, that is essentially like having two head chefs. Like, imagine Gordon Ramsay also did Kitchen Nightmares with he also did Kitchen Nightmares with imagine Gordon Ramsay also did Kitchen Nightmares with Chef from the Muppets, the Swedish Chef. Like, imagine they were both the head chefs of a restaurant. That would be so confusing. So this was kind of like so essentially France has Gordon Ramsay and the Swedish Chef running the whole show. They have a president and a prime minister. Are you serious? Okay. It's so confusing to me. It's like, it's so excessive having a president and a prime minister. It's like, oh, really? We're going to have a president and a prime minister? Do you also want a king and a pope and Santa? Like, what else do you want? I just found that fascinating, and if someone could really inform me on why some countries have a president and a prime minister, that would actually make me a happy camper. No, that would literally make me one of the happiest campers of all time. And I honestly think we could use a couple more happy campers in the world, but maybe I'm just talking on my arse. Now, one thing I noticed as I was driving to Owen Sound, during Owen Sound, Ontario. So Owen Sound, Ontario is a town in Ontario, Canada. And it has a very interesting connection to the Canadian entertainment industry because who's from Owen Sound, Ontario? Yes, Cheryl Hickey, who was the former host of Entertainment Tonight Canada. So Owen Sound, Ontario is so integral to the Canadian entertainment industry. For the international listeners and viewers who are not aware, maybe. But so Owen Sound is so interesting, but on the way there we saw some Mennonites on horse and buggy, which I have nothing wrong with that at all. It's probably extremely positive for the environment to do that. But I need to know more about Mennonite stuff, because from what I know about Mennonites is that they're not down with a lot of technology, which I totally get, because imagine those guys, if those guys get Instagram, they're gonna love it. I'm sure some Mennonites have Instagram, but so from what I see from Mennonites, they love a horse and buggy. They use wheels. Not sure if they use light. Maybe they just use candles. I'm not 100% sure. I got it. I'm sorry. Maybe if you're a Mennonite, maybe you come on the podcast. But my question is why does it seem like Mennonites perhaps, I thought they're against technology, but why do they still why is their cutoff for technology like 1825? They're like, okay, we're in the Bible. I went to Catholic school. Well, I know that, but does God say something like, you will not use any technology from 1825 onward? Maybe he does. I didn't read the whole thing. That could have been in Numbers, which is a often skipped book of the Bible, and maybe I read that another time. But I just want to know, they use 1800s technology at times, and heck, 1800s technology and styles. There were some cool styles back then. Suspenders, it seems. The horse. And the horses get eye patches sometimes. Go for it. But I just wanted to bring that up. Nothing but love. But I'm absolutely ignorant. But I just was wondering about that. So maybe someone could tell me about that along the way. Yep. Now, if you are a follower of mine, you may have noticed that I post Instagram stories. Instagram stories are a good way of communicating with people and asking questions and getting a lot of different types of legendary answers. Now, I posted an Instagram story recently asking who are the big meteorologists in the Niagara region? Who, when I say meteorologists in the Niagara region, who is the first person who comes to mind? I just want to reiterate this on the podcast. If I have any listeners in the Niagara region, specifically Niagara, Canada, sorry, nothing but love to the other side of the border, but I just was wondering who's the big meteorologist. There's always stuff going on behind the scenes. In this podcast, I do work I'm trying my best to work as much as I can in Canadian entertainment. So I would love if you know the answer to that question, you could get me in contact with that person. That would be amazing. But when you go on the weatherchannel.ca, it doesn't tell you who the big meteorologist by region is, right? Some people say that the big meteorologist in Kitchener at one point was Dave McDonald. So who's that in Niagara region? Maybe it's someone you remember. Who was the weather person that really had their finger on the pulse of what was going on in the skies of Niagara? Maybe you could let me know. It's up to you, of course, but I would love to know if you know. Just going to take a sip of this water here. Yeah, that's some good stuff. I've still been really listening to Bob Dylan right now. And I know Bob Dylan is not a Canadian entertainer, but he played with a number of Canadian entertainers over his lifetime, including the band who essentially were from Canada, minus their drummer. And I've been listening to this song by Bob Dylan called Murder Most Foul. And Murder Most Foul is essentially a 15-minute song about the John F. Kennedy assassination. And it could actually be 18 minutes. But, yeah. Would you be interested if I ever did a cover of it? Would it be okay if I just you know what? Because sometimes this is so much about talking, and I sometimes just want to show you my process. So, and I don't really do covers that often. So, what if I just did a quick cover of this song? Because I don't know. I just want to do it quickly, okay? 'Twas a dark day in Dallas, November 63, a day that will live on in infamy. President Kennedy was riding high, good day to be living and a good day to die, being led to the slaughter like a sacrificial lamb. He said, "Wait a minute, boys. Do you know who I am?" "Of course we do. We know who you are." Then they blew off his head while he was still in the car. Shot down like a dog in broad daylight. Was a matter of timing, and the timing was right. You got unpaid debts we've come to collect. We're gonna kill you with hatred without any respect. We'll mock you and shock you, and we'll put it in your face. We've already got someone to take your place. The day they blew out the brains of the king, thousands were watching, no one saw a thing. It happened so quickly, so quick by a surprise, right there in front of everyone's eyes. Perfectly executed, skillfully done. Wolfman, oh wolfman, howl, rub-a-dub-dub. It's a murder most foul. Well, hush, little children, you'll understand. The Beatles are coming, and they're gonna hold your hand. Slide down the banister, go get your coat, ferry cross the Mersey, and go for the throat. There's 3 bums coming, all dressed in rags. Picked up the pieces, lowered the flags. I'm going to Woodstock, it's the Aquarian age. Then I'll go to Altamont and sit near the stage. Put your head out the window, let the good times roll. There's a party going on beyond the grassy knoll. Stack up the bricks and pour the cement. Don't say Dallas don't love you, Mr. President. Put your foot in the tank and step on the gas. Try to make it to triple underpass. Blackface singer, whiteface clown. Better not show your faces after the sun goes down. I don't know what that. I'm in the red light district like a cop on the beat, living in a nightmare on Elm Street. When you're down in deep Elm, put your money in your shoe. Don't ask what your country can do for you. Cash on the barrel, money to burn. Yeah. Dealey Plaza, make a left-hand turn. I'm going down the... Okay, I can't. I can't do this no more. I just really wanted to try that out, but it just was not. I found out what some of the lyrics are now. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed that. I just wanted to try that out. I just wanted to shake things up in the podcast. And I honestly, that's a song by Bob Dylan on his 2020 album Rough and Rowdy Ways. And I gotta look at Genius to see what the heck was going on in that song there. Yeah, I just want to try that out, but I don't know. I didn't do the whole song, but if you want to hear me do the whole song, maybe I'll make an exclusive video one day. But I really want to do it justice, and I don't think I just did it justice, but I maybe should have done the whole thing. Okay, hold on one sec. I'm in the red light district like a cop on the beat, living in a nightmare on Elm Street. When you're down in deep Elm, put your money in your shoe, and don't ask what your country can do for you. Cash on the barrelhead, money to burn. Dealey Plaza, we gotta be making a left-hand turn. I'm going to the crossroads, gonna flag a ride. the place where faith, hope, and charity died. Shoot him while he runs, shoot him while you can. See if you can shoot the invisible man. Goodbye, Charlie, goodbye, Uncle Sam. Frankly, Miss Scarlet, I don't give a damn. Oh, what's the truth and where did it go? Ask Oswald and Ruby, they ought to know. Shut your mouth, said the wise old owl. Business is business. It's a murder most foul. Wow, there's like, we're almost done. Tommy, can you hear me? I'm the acid queen. I'm riding in a long black Lincoln limousine. Riding in the back seat next to my wife. Heading straight on to the afterlife. I'm leaning to the left. I got my head in her lap. Hold on. It looks like I've been led into some sort of trap. Where we ask no quarter and no quarter do we give? We're right down the street from the street where you live. They mutilated his body and they took out his brain. But what more could they do? They piled in pain. But his soul's not there where it was supposed to be at. For the last 50 years, they've been searching for that. Freedom, oh freedom, freedom over me. I hate to tell you, mister, but only dead men are free. Send me some loving, tell me no lies. Throw the gun in the guitar and walk on by. Wake up, little Susie, let's go for a drive. Cross the Trinity River, let's keep hope alive. Turn the radio on, don't touch the dials. Parkland Hospital, only 6 more miles. He loves a rhyming couplet, but I literally think that every last word rhymes with... It's just too... It's cool. I guess it's a couplet. This is a couplet. This is like when Twitter went from 140 characters to like 280. This is what a haiku. Imagine this, like they changed the rules of the haiku to be like this song. We're evolving, so it would only make sense. Bigger and better, you know? Okay. Please don't... I'm only going to do this once, but I feel like I have to do the whole thing, so I'm sorry. Please don't unfollow this podcast. I just need to do this. It'd be so weird if I didn't finish the whole song. All right, so let's pick back up where we left off. Cross the Trinity River, let's keep hope alive. Turn the radio on, don't touch the dials. Parkland Hospital's only 6 more miles. You got me dizzy, Miss Lizzie. You filled me with lead. The magic bullet of yours has actually gone to my head. I'm a patsy just like Patsy Cline, but I never shot anybody from in front or behind. Got blood in my eye, got blood in my ear. Well, get this. I'm never going to make it to the new frontier. Zapruder film, I've seen that one before. Seen it 33 times, maybe more. It's vile and deceitful, it's cruel and it's mean. It's the ugliest thing that you've ever seen. Uglier than Ugly Betty? I didn't actually think Ugly Betty was ever ugly, but that's what the show was called, so some people did, I guess, but I disagree. But I'm married, so that's weird. Anyways. Okay. They killed him once, and they killed him twice. Killed him like a human sacrifice. The day they killed him, someone said to me, son, the age of the Antichrist has just begun. Air Force One coming in through the gate. Johnson sworn in at 2:38. Let me know when you decide to throw in the towel. It is what it is, and it is a murder most foul. What's new, pussycat? What did I say? I said the soul of the nation been from away, and it's beginning to look like a slow decay, and that's 36 hours past Judgment Day. Wolfman Jack, he's speaking in tongues. He's going on and on at the top of his lungs. Play me a song, Wolfman Jack. Play me in my long Cadillac. Play me that Only the Good Die Young. Take me to the place where Tom Dooley was hung. Play St. James Infirmary and the port of King James. If you want to remember, you better write down the names. Play Etta James, too. Play I'd Rather Go Blind. Play it for the man with the telepathic mind. Play John Lee Hooker. Play Scratch My Back. Play it for the strip club owner named Jack. Guitar Slim, Going Down Slow. Play it for me and for Marilyn Monroe, who they might have had a thing. We've heard this. Okay. Play Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. But you also have to play it for the First Lady. She's not feeling any good. Play Don Henley, play Glenn Frey, which is a little interesting because you have to ask yourself, were the Eagles in the 60s? Well, maybe in that Stephen King novel where they go back in time to the JFK assassination. And remember that when they adapted that Stephen King novel, they filmed it where? Yes, Cambridge, Ontario. Did they feature the en route? We have to ask ourselves that. Okay, take it to the limit and let it go by. Play it for Carl Wilson too. Carl. Aww. Looking far, far down away, Gower Avenue. Play Tragedy, play Twilight Time. Take me back to Tulsa, to another scene of the crime. Play another one, and another one bites the dust. Play the old Queen. Play the old Rugged Cross, and In God We Trust. I would have never got any of this if I didn't do this right now. And you're getting a lot too. Ride the pink horse down that long, lonesome road. Stand there and wait for his head to explode. Play Mystery Train for Mr. Mystery. Okay, Bob, is this essentially your Spotify Wrapped and you're just reading it in these past two verses? Let's be honest. The man who fell down dead like a rootless tree. Play it for Reverend, play it for the pastor. Play it for the dog that got no master. Play it for Oscar Pearson. Canadian, I believe. Aww. Play it for Stan Getz. Play Blue Sky by Dickie Betts. Play Hot Pepper, Thelonious Monk. What is he doing? Charlie Parker and All That Junk. All That Junk and All That Jazz. Play something for the Birdman of Alcatraz. Play Buster Keaton. Play Harold Lloyd. Play Bugsy Siegel. Play Pretty Boy Floyd. Play the numbers. Play the odds. Play Cry Me a River for the Lord of Gods. Justin Timberlake got arrested recently. Play number 9, play number 6, Revolution 9, of course. Play it for Lindsay, play it for Stevie Nicks, Rough Relationship. Play it for Nat Cole, King Cole. Play it for Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Play it Down in the Boondocks for Terry Malloy. Play it Happened One Night and One Night of Sin. There's 12 million souls that are listening in. Play Merchant to Venice. Play Merchant of Death. Play Stella by Starlight for Lady Macbeth. Who? There were witches in the play. Let's not forget that. Did he say all this when he was waiting? Maybe he did. This is so crazy. Maybe this is what happens when you die. Like, you just, all the songs you want to hear, you just say all of them. Don't worry, Mr. President. Help is on the way. Your brothers are coming. There will be hell to play. Brothers? What brothers? What's this about hell? Tell them we're waiting. Keep coming. We gotta get them as well. Love Field is where his plane touched down, but never did get back up off the ground. Was a hard act to follow, second to none. They killed him on the altar in the rising sun. And here we go again. Spotify Wrapped. Play Misty for Me and the Old Devil Moon. Play Anything Goes and Memphis in June. I love Bob, but You gotta Chat GPT. Was this written with Chat? It's possible. Play Anything Goes, Memphis in June. And Memphis in June. Play Lonely at the Top and The Lonely Are Brave. Play for Houdini, spinning around his grave. He died in Montreal. Canadian entertainment. He got punched in the stomach in Montreal. Or did he eat poutine from the Belle Provence? You gotta ask yourself that. Or did he eat poutine? Or, okay, ooh, what's this line from Murder Most Foul by Bob Dylan? Let's see here. Play it for Houdini spinning around in his grave. Oh, well, that's... So some people... He actually died in Montreal, so that's related to Canadian entertainment. But he actually ate the smokes poutine, Montreal. Damn, imagine if he said that. Play for Smokes Poutine. Ryan Smoke. Oh. Play for Smokes Poutine. Play it for that restaurant that used to be in the Eaton Center, Mr. Green Jeans. Play it for Cambridge en route. Play it for Tilbury en route 2. Play it for Mallory Town and Kitchener Waterloo. Imagine. He actually wrote that. Okay. Play for Jelly Roll Martin. Play Lucille. Play Deep in a Dream. And play Driving Real. Play Moonlight Sonata in F sharp. I learned that song and I always thought that was in G sharp. Interesting. Beethoven. And A Key to the Highway for the King and the Harp. Play Marching Through Georgia and Dumb Bertrand's Drums. Play Darkness and Death when it comes. Play Love Me or Leave Me by the Great Blood Pal. Play The Bloodstained Banner. And play Murder Most Foul. So I find that interesting that the last song he once played is his own song. And it's the song he's promoting. You gotta love Bob. He believes in himself. He's not afraid to self-promote. And the very last song that he thinks John F. Kennedy would want to hear is the song about himself being assassinated. That's the last song John F. Kennedy potentially wanted to hear. That's interesting. Well, that was intense. I know that the first couple verses weren't that interesting, maybe, but thank you for letting me really push through. I learn a lot when I do this podcast. I just need to believe in myself, trust my gut, even though I was really potentially infected recently. Thank you for listening to that whole thing. This is a good place to end today. I hope you really enjoyed this. I know that we had good times, we had bad times, but I hope you enjoyed most of it, at least 60%. We talk Canadian entertainment. We do Canadian entertainment. That was a Canadian entertainer covering a Bob Dylan song. I'm a working Canadian entertainer. Bob Dylan's a working American entertainer. We can be friends. It doesn't have to be this Canada versus America thing, this Michael Moore stuff. Remember, no, not that Canada or Rick Mercer, right? Like tried to divide Canadians and Americans. Americans do not watch Talking to Americans. It really makes fun of you guys, and I actually found a lot of the things Rick Mercer did unfair. So, but I like Rick. He took a chance. Oh, I'm not trying. Gosh, Rick is awesome. Okay, but yeah, everyone takes a chance. Everyone has an opinion. Okay, but thank you so much for tuning in. This is an amazing place to leave off. This has been our longest episode, and I'm so happy I could read Murder Most Foul to you. that was incredible. A Canadian covering an American song. And there were times where we didn't think we were going to complete it, but we actually did complete it. And that is so cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watch. Like, sometimes I don't believe in myself, but near the end of the poem, the song, I started to believe in myself again. So thank you for supporting me. I hope you made it this far. I gotta stop sounding so desperate, but maybe I'm a desperate person. My character's desperate. I'm not a character, but we're in a video game. It could be a Canadian video game, and we'll have to dive in deep in this a bit more next episode. But thank you for everything. You guys are the reason I do this. Good night. Good night. And we'll talk to you extremely soon. I just know it.